Hey guys, how you doing? I thought to make up for last time I'd go live about 2 minutes earlier, rather than about 20 minutes late. How you all doing? Hey Jensen. Can you guys see and hear me okay? Always have to run that check now. Never know what can go wrong in streaming land. Hey John, how you doing? Okay, awesome. So far so good. Let's see if we can keep the error count down on this one. I figure everybody's going to be off watching the elections, so it's going to be just a couple of us enjoying AMS. The bouncy castle simulator, right? Hey guys, good to see you all. So, you know, clickbait title and stuff aside, I actually wanted to do this to test out that hotfix update that Reza did to the Porsches, actually the Cup car and the 911 GT3R. So we're here at the Nürburgring GP, the thing I was driving all of yesterday, in the exact same car I was driving all of yesterday, so I figured what better A-B comparison than just jumping right into this, right? Glad you guys enjoyed the title. I'm glad we know what's important, you know, AMS update, next 4 years of the free world, you know. I think motorsport always takes the cake, doesn't it? So, we made some tweaks to the stream overnight. Big thanks to my friend James B there in the chat for helping me diagnose a lot of issues, and also to William from Sim Racing Paddock. A lot of new settings that I'm trying out, so if there's any weird jittering and stuff, you guys make sure to let me know. I'm hoping this is going to be a lot smoother of a stream than the one we had last night. Well, it depends what you mean by jumping. If you know, if they fix the jumping, by that you mean that the wheels don't always leave the road under every undulation and bump, then no, not quite. I don't think so anyway. I was getting mad understeer on the chicane whenever I tried to brake in. It's almost like trail braking didn't do anything in the car. It was really, really hard to pivot the nose in. I think it was because the front wheels were actually lifting off the road, so there was nothing to turn with. Morning, Martin. Glad to hear it's smoother so far. So one of the cool things about the way I'm streaming right now, I can't actually see how many viewers there are, so I can't get like performance anxiety depending on whether people are coming or going. I might actually embed the view count on the actual stream itself so I can see it somewhere in the future. Thanks, The Dive. Appreciate it. Yeah, redoing the settings every time was a complete nightmare. I had to redo it several times over while we were in the early access phase. As you guys probably remember, the AMS early access phase is actually what put this channel on the map. Thanks, I Discover. Appreciate it. Cool, force feedback report. I'll let you guys know what I'm actually running here as well, because I got told to run some different force feedback settings. Mind you, my DD1 base appears to be a little eccentric, so my settings have to be about half of what they normally would be for a given strength. I don't know what that's about, it's just the way it goes. So I've actually got the force feedback only at 24 on this thing with the high torque key in. FFB linearity is on. Natural damper I have off completely, natural friction is off completely, natural inertia is off completely, FFB interpolation I have at 3 just to remove the grain from the signal. FFB intensity would be full, yep, and everything else is at defaults. So basically any artificial damping on the wheelbase I have completely off, and I'm just using the interpolation to just smooth things out. I think in the game I'm just using the damping to give it a sense of weight and smoothing. And then I think I've got the gain at about 50, which is, you know, the midpoints. I think we're around about where you want to be running it for this title anyway. Hey, Kochulek. 'Cause, 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 ' Thanks, Gaming Central. Alright, I should get into it. That's what we're here for, isn't it? Let me know if we get any crazy stuttering. I mean, so far it's one of the more interesting sounding 911s in the sim racing scene. Hey again, Anna. Glad you're enjoying Dirt 4. Try Dirt Rally 2, and in my opinion, it's just an all-round better title. Almost feels like deja vu for some reason. Except I'm not going onto the 24-hour layout. Man, that's gonna mess with me. That is so gonna mess with me. Alright, can't accelerate early. It's definitely got that rear engine vibe going on. Okay, well look, I'll say this, it feels better than the first version did. It feels a lot more connected, a lot closer to the R-Factor version I've been driving all day. But under braking, it's still weird. I can't trail brake into the corners. It's just instant understeer. I'm gonna try and adjust the brake bias. See if that helps at all. So we'll go down to like 56. I think the default for all cars is 60-40. They seem to default a lot of their setups in AMS2, and my guess is that it's just because they haven't had time to actually dial it in for each car. Right, anyway, now that that's sorted out, let's get back to the driving. Sorry guys, trying to read and drive again. It's definitely a skill set. Hey Dazzler. Hey everyone else. Yeah, the sound feels a little funny to me, personally. I think I prefer the R-Factor one, which is very strange to say, because that game doesn't exactly have the best sound engine on planet Earth. Welcome, turn 1. So definitely this version of the track isn't quite as good as the R-Factor one. I remember somebody was saying that they ripped it right out of Project Cars 2. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I mean, I'd believe it. Since it already existed, it'd be a lot easier than redeveloping the track. But I would say that R-Factor's version is much more to my liking, and as is Kunos's. The car's definitely more forgiving to drive on the default setup now. Still kind of understeery, I would say. I'm having a lot of trouble with it just not wanting to turn in. I think maybe rear wing needs a few clicks down. Yeah, definitely, like that's ridiculous. So rear wing probably, my guess would be the rear bar probably needs to be a little bit stiffer as well. No doubt the dampers need work as well. Yeah, the braking feel is still a little bit funny in this game. Still got some of that wackiness going on. You can tell that Reezer is still in the process of dialing it in. Yeah, I would believe it was Project Cars 2 track. I mean, it doesn't really feel like some next-gen laser scan action, if you get my drift. So if the game is really loud, let me know. If you prefer me to turn it down. Trying to get the mic a little bit closer always helps. So it's the strangest thing. So R-Factor suffers from a similar problem in the fact that if the default setups aren't good, you make judgment calls about the physics engine that may not necessarily be as absolute as you might think. So I might go into the pits after this and drop that rear wing back a bit, try to get the car actually rotating in, and probably going to see it understeering here on the braking, let's see. Actually, it's not as bad as it was. Just slightly vague brake feel, that's all. A very different force feedback engine to R-Factor. Almost more bump steer, so every single time there's an undulation in the road surface, I can feel it kind of just bouncing me around. It makes it feel really dynamic and fun, but I don't know if it's necessarily realistic. It's very much not the ACC school of force feedback thought. Very forgiving there. Definitely, it's a bit of a challenge to finesse the car under braking. It's almost like it just wants to give out the rear end. You're either understeering or spinning or rotating, you know? There isn't that nice in-between trail brake feel. Yeah, it's either understeer or over. Glad you guys are still enjoying that thumbnail. It's what I rely on to sell the stream. Cool, I'll turn down the gain a little bit. Alright, let me know if that's any better, otherwise I can go down even lower. So Drew, you're saying I need to drive it like a go-kart, basically. Alright. Let's do 1 or 2 proper laps, or as proper as I can get it. And then we'll see what we can do about the setup. It's that it just doesn't want to find that sweet spot of balance. Yeah, again, it's always understeery or oversteery. You just can't get it to rotate in. Maybe brake bias down a little bit more. This is the GT3, the 911 GT3. Oh my god, it just bounces right out. So we've still got the bouncy castle simulator effect going on. I mean, it's really fun, but I don't think it's realistic at all. It's just like, it's almost like the tires are underinflated or something. Oh, jeez. I think I enjoyed the general feel and balance and performance of the McLaren a lot more than this. Yeah, it's struggling a lot with understeer. So, you know, I'm happy to take requests on this one. I'm not particularly married to anything. Whatever you guys want to see, let me know in the chat. I'll scroll back through and read it, and whatever the votes get is what we'll cover. If you guys want to see some AI races, if you want me to risk it, AMS2 AI, and try all kinds of things. I tend to only drive this title when a new update comes out, I have to admit. I'm always optimistic. I love all the new free content they give us, but AMS2 as a title I think still has a very long way to go before it's competitive with R-Factor and, you know, ACC and all that good stuff. So bouncy. So bouncy. The curbs throw you around. So if you've got a direct drive wheel and you're, oh my god, if you're running settings like this, it's just, you feel like you're just jiggling around, like you're seesawing. I mean, again, it's fun, but realistic? I don't know about that. It's so strange. Alright, I'm back to the pits after this. So the potential lap time seemed a little bit higher. I know that I was struggling a little bit more with this car on the default setup the first time around, so I think they've made it slightly quicker, by about a second or two. Obviously there's a lot more time to be gained if I actually drive correctly. But anyway, let's get back to the pits and I'll see what you guys are saying. I'll marry you any day, Boggy. Yeah, the GT3 balance of performance is just really, I don't know, it's strange. I can see why they do it like this, because they need to account for amateurs as well as pro drivers. You need that in between of just enough assists that idiots like me aren't going to bin the car, whereas the pros can, you know, still drive it in anger. I'm glad the stream's running better for you guys. I had to tweak some things behind the scenes, but I think it should be a lot better come the actual race this weekend. I don't think I could risk the stock car in this title again. I remember driving it, it was just insane. It truly was the bouncy castle simulator. Made the stock car 2018 and R-Factor just feel godlike. Duel with an AI of max difficulty with bouncy physics. Man, that's almost insane enough for me to try. So I'm going to try, I think, and lower the rear wing a few points and maybe stiffen up the rear sway bar and see if that alone is going to give us a more balanced feeling car. But I don't know. I have my doubts. Is there like a deep bouncy setting? Is that suspension? Is it like slow dampers? So we'll keep it nice and simple for now. I'm not Australian, but I do live in Australia. Good morning, Lyric. We're in virtual Germany here today, so I hope you feel at home. Yeah, Ryan, I find that one of the reasons I don't drive AMS2 that often is I find it creates bad driving habits. It's a game that, depending on how awkwardly the car is dialed in at any given point in time, it lets you get away with very bad habits like accelerating before apexes and things like that you wouldn't traditionally be able to get away with. One of the games that's most relentless with that is ACC. If you want to learn how to drive textbook perfect, ACC is the one. It's very unforgiving to mistakes. Good morning, Ultimate. Morning, Aish. I'm gonna be like the most name mispronouncing channel after this, rather than the least knowledgeable. All right, let's try the new setup. One thing I do really like about the Madness engine is that it hits this really, for me, the perfect balance of looking detailed but without being a resource hog. So the cars are very, very good. They look very nice, but they don't, if you actually look closely, they don't have as much detail as the R-Factor 2 models do, the new ones, nor the ACC ones. But as a result of that, they're able to push less polys, but kind of get away by using post-processing filters and just kind of get it over the line that way. Use those time of day effects, the God rays and all that, you know. Alright, so the little setup changes I made a lot of difference. It's vastly better just from those two changes. I do a rain race, but I don't know if they've modeled it correctly in this yet. Are they doing that whole like rub it in line gets really slippery thing, or actually the better question is the AI actually susceptible to the rain anymore? Because I remember in the last couple of races that I did, as soon as it started raining, my pace dropped off, but they just kept going like nothing changed. Force feedback is a bit weird, I've got to say, this new engine. I can't say it's my favorite thing on planet Earth. It gets heavy at weird points. They're trying to push this kind of dynamic damping effect. I mean, there's less dead zone around the center, that's, yeah. But it kind of feels rubbery and bouncy. It's just like you're getting all of this bump steer. It doesn't feel very direct and communicative like R-Factor, and it doesn't feel very, I don't know, nuanced and subtle like ACC. It's just kind of overstated and awkward at the moment. There's a bit more dialing in left to do. And the look at that bouncing. Look at that bouncing. Oh man. Alright, that sorts out the next thumbnail. AMS2, Bouncy Castle Simulator, #1. Still trying to finesse the brakes in this. They feel very, very different to all the other sim racing titles I play. It just gets so heavy and rubbery. Welcome to the club, Ultimate. It's good to see all you guys. Thank you for joining me during the election cycle. I mean, I know that you've got better things to be doing with your life, maybe more consequential things to worry about, but I think it's always fun in these times to kick back and enjoy the subtler things in life, the little things that give you joy, like incessantly criticizing a Brazilian developer's physics model. So I actually have no idea how many viewers there are. No clue at all. I don't have that readout today. It was part of making my stream more bulletproof. I had to fly in blind a little bit more. Welcome, Johnny. I'm trying to get used to this is a technique I have to perfect. It's like the head flick. I gotta flick my head, see who's done what, do the comment, and then get back to driving without binning the car. Every time I do it, I lose another second of lap times. It's great. Thanks, guys. I enjoy the play-by-play. So last time, I think our peak concurrent was about 208 viewers. I mean, honestly, I was expecting about a quarter of that tonight. So again, you guys are the best, seriously. I hope that, so one thing I really want to do when Gran Turismo 7 comes out is pivot a lot more towards that, bring in a lot more casuals, have a lot more fun. I'm kind of tired of being the sim racing elitist guy. It's not really an enjoyable persona for me. So I'd love to have a lot more sessions like this where we all get together and just kind of enjoy the campaign mode. Buy some crappy old Civics and hot them up, turn them into complete drags to beasts, you know? That's what Gran Turismo is all about. It's what car culture here in Australia is all about. Or at least it was in the 90s. Yeah, so this is with the patch on the Porsche. Lyric, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, what a beautiful sound effect. That's one thing I've got to do is get some custom sound effects for us. I've got some good ideas in mind, but leave it with me. After all, I'm a sound engineer. That's the part we've really got to nail down. Alright, so from the default setup, the tweaks that I've done definitely makes this better. So if you just want to do some simple tweaks to get a decent baseline on this car, 1 point less rear wing and 2 points stiffer rear sway bar. Try that out, see how you go. There's definitely room to move. So I think I've actually lowered the brake bias. So instead of being 60-40, it's 56 on the front. Welcome, Synax. I've got to get a color that contrasts less with the sky. I'm kind of struggling to read the names. Oh my god. The bouncy there is just like out of this world. It's like Madness Engine, eat your heart out. It's like peak Madness Engine. Yeah, I'd say it's not that much better. I mean, they've definitely improved it a little bit, but you can tell it's a small BOP tweak. It's not like a massive physics overhaul on the Porsche, so it's not really blowing my mind. I know that they changed the McLaren as well, so I might actually get out and load that up and see if they've actually nerfed my favorite new car in this game. There's never a bad time to hop on the sim, especially when you have school in 3 hours. So the great thing for me is that my team is running a practice session when it's 7 AM here in Australia, and I've actually been shifting my sleep pattern back so I can stay up for some podcasts that are coming, to stay up for the actual 24-hour race itself. But now I've got to flip it back, so I wake up at like 6 in the morning, get ready for the test run at 7. I don't know how many hours they're doing that for, and then I got to like nap and then recycle it again. So it's going to be a really, really interesting couple of days, I think. You're going to see me getting progressively more disheveled as we go along. I think we did figure out the FPS issue. Yeah, I hope. I mean, you guys tell me if anything slows down, but I think it should be running a lot more smoothly now. So I'll just load up the McLaren. It's got to be that gross fluoro lime livery. I mean, really, what else would it be? You're never late, mate. As long as you're watching the stream. What are you guys up to anyway? I love these kind of chilled out chats. It takes so much of the edge off, you know? I'm not going to be able to do this with you guys come the 24-hour race. Hey, Baseman. How you doing? Let me know how that TMX Pro goes. I'm not that familiar with them. So the 24-hour race I'm talking about is the... I keep getting this wrong. It's the P1 Gaming.de one. It's this weekend. It's this Saturday. I've got to work out what time it is for me. I think it's like Saturday evening, about 10 p.m. that it begins. So I've got to work out when the stints are and when I can sleep. So you guys are going back into lockdown in the UK. We just got out of a 3-month second lockdown here in Melbourne, so it's been manic. The way in which people are flooding out into the streets, I can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a third wave almost immediately, so I'll be back in there with you guys before long. But it just means more growth, right? More simming, less actual work. Yeah, nice, Jensen. You guys have a pretty cool kart track there, don't you? Geelong Kart Club. Welcome, Stu Bob. It's most definitely going to be my first endurance race, so expect a complete disaster. Not only am I learning how to like race competitively or just like keep the car on the track, I have to do it while managing the car and the tires and the engine, and also streaming for the first time ever, or streaming seriously for the first time ever. That's why I've been going so hard with the streaming with you guys. These are all little small practice runs. Make sure there's no issues. Make sure that we can, you know, have a nice stream once it comes to 24 hours, because it's going to be a lot more demanding than this is. One of the problems is that my camera is going to... It'll only last, I reckon, about 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 if I'm really lucky. So I'll have to start charging the battery in between stints. So I'll be in and out on that one. Hey, Connor. Good to see you. Enjoy class. All right, Alex, I'll keep an eye out for you, man. Don't punt me when you lap me, all right? I'll be one of the back markers. As much as like Tim and the crew are going to try and keep us in the top 10, I can guarantee you I'm going to be holding us back down in the bottom end of the field. So the camera I'm using right now is a Sony A7R III. I think the lens is a Sony FE 24 to 70mm 2.8 something, you know, something photo speak, something. Thanks, mate. I'm going to need all the luck I can get. Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot about community races. I'm going to have to look more into how these are normally done, how they're hosted, where they're hosted. I've actually just been given access to a server architecture by some really, really friendly, nice guys that we can use for those. I just have to look into how to actually organize these community races and, you know, where to have them. I think maybe early next year or maybe come December, because I've got a lot of things I need to do come Black Friday. We're launching a new product with one of my businesses, so I've got to curate that, as well as, you know, trying to not ruin the race for Renee's team, basically. There's a lot to do before we get into the community racing, but that's definitely something I want to do with you guys. I think it'd be so cool to just have some casual races, maybe even an AMS where we just kind of bounce around and have some laughs. Slow and steady, Lyric. That's what I'm planning to do, mate. It's all I can do. Consistency. For those who can't drive fast, drive consistently. Alright, 720 still feels 720-esque. They definitely did do a BOP to this thing. I'm going to guess that they nerfed it to make it more competitive with the slower GT3s, which was like all the other GT3s. Let's see how we go. Cold tires. It already feels way more pinpoint. I'm so not a Porsche guy. I'm so not. So that's clearly the best car for me to start endurance racing with, right? So everything else I do after this is going to be way easier. Alright, so it's still better. It may be slower, it's hard to say, until I do a proper lap or two. So again, to anybody joining us, this is the complete default setup. I'll always do a default setup lap before I tweak anything just to see what the car actually needs. So this car, you can actually pivot on power. It handles a lot more like what I'm used to tuning cars like. I like being able to rotate it with the throttle a little bit. Come the apex, you know? It's a little bit, doesn't really rotate in as easily as the Porsche, which is fairly normal. It's not rear-engined. It's one of the few advantages you get from rear-engine. Oh man, so that braking issue is the case with all of the GT3s by the looks of it. I'm gonna try and bring the brake bias down again to 56, see if that helps. I just can't quite get the brake feel right in this game. I know that was a problem for us from the start. People were always saying that the brake feel initially in early access was too sensitive. Now it's kind of both. It's either too sensitive or not sensitive enough, or just doesn't quite feel dialed in. I feel disconnected from the car. I feel like there's something in between me and it, and it's playing this game of interpolation, trying to approximate what I want to get, and I'm trying to approximate what I think the car's going to do, but we're never really on the same page together. Welcome. Whatever. Lawnmower line, let's do it. I need to really practice that whole flicking my head off to the side. It's not going to do me any good. So this car is definitely more pleasurable to drive for me. Got to brake a little earlier than I'm used to just to get it to rotate in. So brake feel is still a little bit funny. Definitely a lot easier on power than the Porsche is. Brake points are just, they're fractionally before where they are in R Factor and ACC. I feel like I'm having to brake like 5 meters earlier, and it's just enough to throw me off for most of the corners. I remember somebody was saying, God, was it this game or another one, that the brakes weren't working as hard as they should be. No, that was for ACC. That was Niels Heusinkveld. I was watching his video where he's playing ACC for the first time. Super interesting video. It's really cool to get a guy with that much experience in coding and sim racing development to tell you what he thinks about a physics engine. It's like a way better use of your time than listening to me. I'm just some pleb. He was like, I think it feels like this and it's a little bouncy, and Niels can actually give you the math. He's one of the OGs. Alright, I'm going to do one more lap. I'm going to try and do it properly without looking to the side. Unless you guys subscribe. That's going to distract me, so make sure to subscribe. And then we'll get it into the pits. Ugh, come on, the brake points are just, they're not right. Or at least the braking feel isn't right. I just can't get it dialed in. It's kind of hard to drive the car in anger because there's this weird screen over the experience, you know? You just don't feel connected to it. Just because we're trying to become legitimate streamers come the 24-hour race. There's a donation link down below to anybody that feels like being super kind and using it. Do let me know if that takes you to the right place as well. I'm still in the midst of setting all of this stuff up, and I want to make sure that you guys get recognition for being super awesome legends as well. So we've got the readouts up the top. I'm going to keep adding to that. I'm going to add to the overlays over time as well. I'm going to make this more of an official thing. Still that strange brake feel. I'm having to drive a little bit more weirdly than I'm used to. It isn't quite where I want to be with it. It's a strange handling model in the sense that it's like almost too little of everything and too much of everything at the same time. The tires feel like a simplified version of R-Factor's model or something. It's like they're trying to do the same thing with the deformation and the grip alteration, but they're just not doing it to the same level. So you get these very strange snaps out into slides. Come on, please, not again. Ugh. All right. Let's do a semi-proper lap if we can. Nope, that is not a semi-proper lap, but whatever. Look at that, a positive delta for once. What a thing to see, some green. Yeah, it just feels very strange on the limit. Car just rotates really bizarrely. It has that very, I don't know, I don't want to say the word canned, it's a bit overused, but it feels oh my god. It kind of feels like there's rubber bands connected between all the wheels and they're just snapping and pulling at all times. You never quite feel connected to the road, so it feels very strange for me to say this, but I vastly prefer driving an ACC to this, and I most definitely prefer driving an R-Factor to this, so there's a ways to go. Definitely a ways to go. Ultiman, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for the $3, man. You guys are the best. Watching a guy just drive around the Nürburgring GP for hours on election night, eve, morning, wherever you are in the world, I'm always correct. It's either morning, midnight, whatever. Yeah, Mantis, it's a little bit awkward. I can't say I'm having the time of my life driving these cars, but I thought it was worth, you know, testing because they did release the update. Might as well try it. There's tons and tons of R-Factor leagues. If you join their Discord, I think a lot of them post in there, so I'm sure you'll get snapped up in no time. So Donk, I think the sounds are okay. They're serviceable. They don't blow my mind. I think the best sounding titles in this space are ACC and Dirt. Dirt Rally 1 and 2. Dirt 4 to a point as well. CAMHT. iRacing keeps coming up in the chat. So, you know, full disclosure, I've never actually driven in iRacing. The business model puts me off quite a lot. I don't enjoy the way that they charge for things. I know that it's hugely profitable and it's what allows their server architecture to keep running. It's what allows them to police their races and run so many organized things, but it's just not my speed. So I keep myself more to ACC and R-Factor these days, and Beam and G when I'm off camera as well. I love Beam and G. Been thinking about featuring a lot more of that come recent videos, because I've got a new H-pattern shifter to try out, and I've got a new handbrake to try out with you guys. I haven't had a chance to put those videos together yet, thanks to certain 24-hour endurance races I've got to prepare for. Cool, I think that's a good idea. Let's jump straight into a quick race with this car and a field of GT3s, the 3 models that we have, and you can see me lose my cool very, very quickly because the AI in this game gets under my skin usually in a way that's it's indescribable. I'll try and drive passively as well. I'll do my best not to knock into anyone. I'll try and just drive it like a B-grade gentleman driver, which would be very easy for me because that's essentially what I am. Alright, so we'll go with the defaults, right? I'll reduce the opponent number so you guys don't get lag, maybe 15 of them. Welcome, Remain. I'll even start last, just to make it fun. It's going to be a Brands Hatch, guys, for maximum bump steer. This is one of the few properly laser scanned circuits in the game, and I have a feeling this is going to be a really interesting experience, so I'm going to try not to swear. I don't want to get the stream taken down. Alright, that should do it. Thanks, Patrick. Glad to see you here. So I'm just running default AI settings. This is the way it comes out of the box. We'll just see. We'll see what happens. Given the world record times, it's in the ballpark of where a GT3 should be, so... Thank you, I'm glad you like them. I think these are, yeah, they're KS4s, OMP KS4s, karting gloves. I've really grown to like them. I didn't like them the first couple of days as they were breaking in. I felt like I was just like, they were fatiguing my fingers as I was gripping the hand grips here, but they've really helped safeguard the Alcantara, and now I can't race without them. It just feels like you're in the zone the moment you put them on. It is hard to touch ACC for GT cars. They're so well-rounded at the moment. They've put so much work into it. Didn't start that way, though. Definitely didn't start that way. I still remember Early Access 1. I mean, that game was in a worse state than the original AC by far. So they've worked so hard at it. And I hope to see the same thing with AMS 2. I know how much of an improvement can be made in such a short period of time if the developer's just keen to, you know, polish things off, I guess. Okay, so here we go. How to get ready for this. Apparently track temperature is 40 degrees. That's good fun. So I'm noticing a lot of the settings defaulted to the same values as the Porsche. That's just weird to me. It's weird. The front and rear sway bars, the rear wing, I feel like they just kind of put these out because I had to get them out and there was not that much work put into the setups. See you, Orion. Thanks for joining us. All right, I'm ready. Let's do this. Get some more ASMR action for you guys. Daniel, you're the man. Thank you very much. Hey, Takamasa. Man, these cars look pretty good though, don't they? Jeez. Can't take that away from this title. Alright, here we go. Wish me luck. AMS2 AI and my lack of skill. Let's see how this goes. And never having driven this track in this car. So far, so good. A bit of an early break point for the AI there. Don't know what that's about. This is the curb that it's suck you into a vacuum in AC. Oh man, oh my god. So that off-road handling is still very violent. It's just strange on the limit behaviors, man. Really bizarre. The car just snaps out randomly and it rubber bands back. It's like everything is made of... Oh my god, I just got a massive jolt through the force feedback. That could be a Fanatec bug. I know it's part of the drivers. That was kind of terrifying. I'm definitely still lacking the connectedness to the car. I don't know where I can push and where I have to hold back, so I'm going to definitely take it easy on this race. Oh my god. Still got that rubber bandy brake vibe going on. I can't seem to tweak it right, so we'll try 54, maybe. I need to look down at what I'm doing. And there's that whole mines under the wheels effect. As soon as you go off-road in this game, it just kind of pulls you off into oblivion. Now, obviously, that does happen to some degree on grass, but it isn't like this. God, I'm not having the time of my life here. It feels like, because I drive this in our factory in ACC all the time, Brands Hatch, it's one of my favorite tracks. I can't transplant anything I know from those two titles into this experience right here. It feels nothing like driving. It's kind of bizarre. It's very much its own discipline in AMS2. They're still in that no man's land. The graphics do look incredible though. This engine has always been really good at rendering detail. So even if the models are kind of low poly, it has this sheen and polish. The anti-aliasing is so good. There's like a finish to it that just looks really nice. It's just the actual driving portion that's a little bit off-putting. I think one of the things that's made me look at this a little bit more warily was forcing myself to cover Project Cars 3. And after having played that title for about 3 days straight, I came back and started feeling some of those Project Cars mannerisms in these cars. And that's what freaks me out. I'm freaked out in that Reza may never be able to actually get that out of the cars. I feel like I'm becoming like a B-grade Jimmy in that sense. I know, oh my, that's not what would happen. Come on. So, I know Jimmy was kind of ahead of the curve on this. He was saying that it didn't feel as good as AMS1 and everything. I was trying to be a bit more protective of the property, but the more and more I drive it, the less and less it makes sense to me as a driving simulator. It makes a lot more sense as a bouncy castle simulator though. Welcome, Francisco. I would just like to get the confidence to complete one normal lap without doing something weird. So here in ACC, you can just push like a maniac and you feel steady. The rear end is connected to the car. Here you've got to worry about whether like the tire bounciness is going to hook into the curb and do some weird stuff that you can't really anticipate. Now that I'm warming up into its driving model, it's making a little more sense to me. But it's kind of unlike real driving. And again, the understeer, underbraking. You have to very much drive it its own way. So if you guys are practicing this, you know, if you take it seriously, you're practicing sim racing to get better at real driving, AMS2 at the moment isn't really your title. They've got a lot of work to do before it gets there. It's very wacky. Oh my, what was that? That doesn't happen when you brake. Okay, so brake bias, back forward, I guess. I don't understand. Well, it's probably the best AI race I've ever done. I've like so clearly lost it that I don't have to worry anymore. I do love the weather changes in this as the clouds kick in and thicken. You can see it kind of applying that shadowing on the road. It's so immersive in VR when you do that, especially in endurance races. It's one of the reasons I hope that this game actually gets to a good point so we can actually drive our endurance races, and it's going to be so much fun. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's like, you've got to make this handle more like ACC. It's got to be more connected to the rear end. It just feels rubbery, especially whenever I stomp on the brakes. So I'm going to try and push the brake bias forward again, 58. It's weird. Normally in GT3s, the one thing they give you confidence in is the braking, because the ABS handles everything. In this title, oh my god. It does this whole thing where it's like the fronts completely lock up and then the rear jumps up and tries to swing around on you. It's a funny one because Brands Hatch is normally one of those tracks I can just drive with my eyes closed, but it's so involving and demanding. But I won't take away the fact that it just looks stellar. Thank you so much, Ram. Super appreciate it, man. Hope you guys are enjoying your Schadenfreude over there. Enjoying my suffering here at one of my favorite racetracks. Still, it's better than the election though, isn't it? Ah, no, don't. The braking. The braking. Jesus. Thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate that donation. You guys, as always, are the best. I'll try and give you something worth donating to in the 24-hour race. Hopefully something not involving the Porsche spinning uncontrollably at Flugplatz with an empty tank, as it tends to do. So this didn't end up being much of an AI race, I know, but I'm definitely getting some ideas on handling characteristics I can convey to you guys. It's definitely got a ways to go. But if I ever want a really good thumbnail, this will be the game for it. What happened to the frames? Are we back to Slowdown City? See, we had this happen last night. For some reason, it jumps into slideshow mode and... Bog, if you're still in the stream, can you tell me what was that setting you told me to run OBS as an admin or something like that? Something to prioritize its processing? Because I don't really know what's going on here. Let's see if going back to the pits helps at all. Sorry to hear that, Chris. It's a pretty bad time for a lot of people right now, man. You guys are stuck in a pretty rough place between some pretty bad options. Alright, cool. So the stream is going to cut out for about 10 seconds, guys. I'm going to rerun OBS as an admin, and hopefully it fixes our problems. I'll be back in a sec, so don't go anywhere. Just hang around. Alright guys, please tell me it's working. It's one of the things I'm trying to work out here is a way to reconnect to my streams without causing you all to have to bail. Cool, so I'm running this as admin now. If there are any more drop frames, do let me know. Alright, I'm going to give this one more attempt. I don't know what I can do to this car to make it more drivable, but I'm going to try and keep up with the AI this time. I'll try not to overbrake. Yeah, alright, we'll go from that. First, virginity protection. Thank you, pure drug I cannot mention without getting demonetized and pulled off the air. You're the real boss. Okay. Interesting. There we go. Alright guys, wish me luck. I wish you luck. I hope there are no more drop frames. Let's do this. I did try the Pogo Porsche. You can see one right in front of me there. It looks gorgeous. It doesn't quite move as it looks though, unfortunately. that jink in the Porsche in front of me. It's such a madness engine thing. Oh, come on, guy. We've started strong. See, it's just a small dive. It wasn't one of my usual N24 dives. Oh my god, the amount of understeer while turning. So I think if anything, maybe the rear bar a little bit stiffer. Again, that strange slide. The car should be locked down there. I was going super fast. TC should be handling the rest. Very kind of squirrely and just bizarre. Just bizarre handling. What? Alright, cool, whatever. We'll go with it. That was an overly aggressive dive. Let's say that was my fault. It's a strange run. It's just, you know when you can tell that something is in like an alpha state and it just doesn't feel quite dialed in. And look, I'll take as much blame as I need to. I'm sure I'm not giving them as much space as I should, but I thought that was a fairly straightforward move. I mean, I was side by side with that guy. You kind of have to cede a little bit of space, you know, just bump someone straight off. But that's one of the issues I have with the AI in this all the time. It's one of the reasons I don't normally do AI races in AMS2. It's a great one for just driving casually with your friends. Can see it. The next video is just going to be an ACC one. I'm going to be like the big grey Jardier that's 10 seconds a lap slower. It's kind of being kind to myself, actually. I'm glad to hear the frames are a lot better, guys. Trying to get used to this handling character of the car still. I've got to watch out that I don't do this for too long. I feel like it'll unsync me from driving in R-Factor. It is very bouncy. I'm glad to hear there are no frame drops yet. It seems to happen after a while. Oh my god, the amount of understeer. I'm used to literally just kind of tapering off my left foot and having the car naturally pivot in with its nose. That's kind of what the McLaren should be doing. Bottomed out a bit there. Alright, let's try and catch up to the AI. See if we're going to drop any frames. Yeah, it feels a little awkward. It's too grippy in some situations. It's too understeery in others. It's a bit too like rear end slippery in others. It just feels kind of rubber bandy for want of other word. I'm starting to see Jimmy's gripes with it. I think the more and more I drive in other sims. It's at the moment, oh man, it's going to be a really mean thing to say, but it kind of feels like a Simcade title that's in denial. It's trying to be a sim really bad, but it's just not quite there. It'd just be nice to keep up with the AI without getting punted for once. I'd like to be able to be part of the racing. So much understeer on the braking. But if you lower the brake bias back, you end up in that weird position where you just kind of spin. So it could be a damper thing. It's very possible that the front dampers are too stiff, maybe. Or maybe the ride height is off. It's possible the car is too high. Maybe too high in the rear, specifically too much rake, maybe. Let me know how the frames go, guys. I'm catching up to the AI. I'm hoping it doesn't drop out here. That'd be a bad day. Figures look good. Starting to preempt the understeer now. It's always worrying when you get used to AMS's driving model, because you know as soon as you go back to the other sims, it's just not going to work for you. It's so terrifying going through there with the understeer brakes. Oh man, no. Bit of rubber bandiness on the AI. It's that whole thing where they tend to overslow slightly on some corners and then just completely bolts it out of others. Let's see how we go. I need to get past this guy. Please don't do it, man. Don't do it. Ugh. I'm so terrified whenever I'm near them. I just can't do anything. And again, it's Brands Hatch. I didn't exactly pick the best track for overtakes. That's a good frame test for us, though. Come on, McLaren. Showcase that patented engine. Let's go. Can we do it here? Can we do it on the exit? Oh, no. My God. It's, you know, every time I try to drive on the limit or close to the limit in this title, it just backfires on me. Sorry guys, I got to do more to keep the chat moderated in the future. All right. That should do it for the time being until we get some mods in here next time. Sorry about that, guys. Also, sorry about the poor driving on my part, but it's I'm still fiddling my way around feeling the limit in AMS2. It's quite something. I'll give it one more shot. I reckon third time's the charm. If it doesn't work out, I'll kind of respect my own lack of skill and go back to an easier track and see how we go. Right, I was wondering what they did to the McLaren. It felt a little bit easier to drive when I did the full video. Alright, cool. Let's give it another shot. Third time's the charm, I hope. Super conservative mode. It would make sense that they nerfed it though. It was so much quicker than the Porsche and the, not the McLaren, the Mercedes the first time I drove it. Kind of need those proximity indicators, I think, or crew chiefs, just to let me know. I never trust the AI enough in this title to stay close to them. Welcome back. I'm gonna do minimal risk this time, minimal risk. But yes, I think we need longer straights to make this work. It's at brands, it's like you don't have the space you need to take the risks you need to take, but it's an interesting place to work out the damper behavior and the bounciness of the car. It would definitely do well with having a little bit more connection. I just feel unsure at all times about everything that I'm doing. Braking, overtaking, accelerating. Alright, so that was pretty good. Props to the AI for letting that happen. Slow and steady, still a lot of understeer on turn-in. Still lots and lots of understeer. Alright, no moves here, I think. Lots of corner entry on. Oh my god. That was totally my fault. Totally my fault. I need to not push to the limit in this game. I can't find it. I can't feel it. It's just, it goes super bouncy. It kind of flicks into full oversteer mode immediately. There's no progressive, gradual shift into hitting the limit. It's just like you're either in control or the car is spinning. So Brands was definitely the place to stress test this. Alright, no moves. No moves. Just nice and easy. Nice and easy. No moves again, I think. It's a very wide Porsche, that one. Takes up like half the circuit. You know, I'll give it this. I haven't felt this kind of sweaty and uncomfortable in a sim in a very long time. It's doing everything it can to make me not feel comfortable about what I'm controlling. So, I mean, that's got to be worth something. Do we dare? Do we dare, guys? Oh my... So, nah. Sorry, guys. That's just, there's a lot going on here, and I'm just not quite connecting with the game. Yeah, I feel what you're saying, Welshie. The McLaren went from being extremely controllable on the GP circuit to whatever that was there. Whenever it started to get anywhere near the limit, it was pretty much gone. So it was a very strange experience. Very, very difficult to drive consistently. You know, it is what it is. Did you guys want to see the Cup car? See how the dampers and the bounciness have been adjusted on that one? Cool. Cup car it is. Assuming I can find it. So I've not actually ever picked this. I don't actually know where they've categorized it. Give me a sec. Okay, there we go. Virginia International. It's been quite a while since I drove this track, but I love it so much. And I think they do cup races here, as well as Sebring, those crazy buggers. So questionable, you know, I'm not the expert in ACC handling. You'd have to look at someone like Jardier for that. But from what I've driven, ACC is a lot more dialed in than this game is in its current state. If you're looking for a GT car experience, that's kind of the one you want to be looking at right now. So default setup. First ever time driving the Cup car. Here we go. Keep the pit limiter on because that's just how we roll. Pretend someone's actually watching us. I wouldn't say you need an excellent PC to run this game. It's hugely optimized given how good it looks. It's one thing I've always loved about the Madness engine. I think it's aged really well graphically. Alright, do we have that legendary understeer? So I have no idea how this thing drives around here. Very understeery, that's how. Alright. The trick with Virginia is working out where you can pin it in which car class through here. Alright, so it's definitely got that on-power understeer effect going on. Just got to feel it out. So far, I mean, I'm having a slightly better time than I did in the McLaren, so props to that. Oh my god, the tyres still are cold, and I just bottomed out there on that straight. Oh my god. Oh my god, the understeer. Okay, alright, cool. There's definitely something gone. I hope you guys didn't see that damper movement then. So, oh my god, Jesus. Hey Problema, how you doing? Alright, slow outlap. Very slow outlap. Let's just, it's a good question. I don't know why it's bouncing around so much. It does not, oh my, jeez, oh my god. Oof, man. I was, you know, I was anticipating to live up to the title of the video a little bit more and do more enjoying and less, wondering what's going on. Yeah, VIR is amazing. I love that it's just this track in the middle of nowhere. I love how it was brought back recently as well. Alright, brake mark is a little bit earlier than I would have expected. That's cool. Again, it's every time I drive an AMS, it's like learning a new language. Alright, slow. Slow and steady. Amadis, thank you so much, man. You're a legend. Trying to keep that top donor spot. Rather, I need to relearn how to speak English while I'm doing this. So this is the same track. Yeah, it's the same VIR as you find in R Factor 2. It's part of the Reza pack, so exact same thing. You bottom out a bit there. It's very interesting. All right, maybe 2 gears down, turn in nice and early. So you can carry a lot more speed through there in my experience. I just need to find the line in this game to allow me to do that. Oh. Man, that limit behavior is quite something. I'm starting to really sympathize with Jimmy on those first couple of videos where he was testing this out. Why is it shaking so much? Why is it bouncing so much? I wish I had those answers for you guys. I don't really know what's going on currently with the... I mean, I'd like to also know why the brakes aren't working. There's a few things going on that are a little bit strange. You throw the AI into the... You should feel the bump steer through the DD1 whenever I hit those curbs. It's just like... I don't know, it's like a seesaw happening in front of me. The bouncing though. The bouncing. Oh my god. This is not what cars feel like. It's a really novel experience, but it's just not what an automobile feels like. Oh my god. I'm not actually sure how long the stream's been going for, to be honest. Alright, less looking at the chat. Alright, maybe one gear. Alright, cool. Alright, cool. Every time we go through there, it makes a little bit more sense. It's so bouncy. You can just feel the undulations through the steering wheel. It's quite something. I mean, I think I kind of overshot my expectations, Esteban. Sorry about that. It wasn't my intention. I came here fully intending to enjoy the... Oh, it's great. I should call it the Let's Embarrass Myself stream. Look, I'm willing to take fault where fault is due, but there's so much work that's required in this title right now. You're just basically driving these rubber bands on a chassis. In Aussie land, it's currently 9 p.m. You know, one of the funniest things is that in ACC I always used to criticize it for the cars being too rigid and like not bouncy and dynamic enough, and now here I am on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and I think the ACC end of the scale might be the preferable one if I'm looking back and being honest with myself. Well, it's quite something. I wish I were more adaptable than I was, but the way that this feels currently is so different to what I've been racing over the last couple of days that it's so difficult to adjust. So, I mean, this is a bit like as you would expect, it's like the 911 GT3R, but just more bouncy and more understeery and more weird. It's just more of the same, I guess, but just more hyper-concentrated. Welcome back, Anna. Oh my god. The brake point there isn't what I think it is. The bouncing though. So much bouncing. So I'm not really sure where you would go from here with the setup. Normally I would have some ideas on what to do in regards to bump stops, maybe putting them a little bit higher so the car has less travel range on the suspension. But it feels like there's something a little bit more fundamentally off somewhere deeper in the code. I'm trying. I think if I just keep at it a little longer, I can put together maybe one lap that looks somewhat like a motorsport lap, driven by a complete amateur. I wish I could just tell the car no, mate. Turn in, please. Oh god. The bounce. Sebring on this would be... I mean, I would pay to see a full comp of guys trying to wrangle this around Sebring. Especially the R-Factor mesh. Alright, I'll take that for the time being. Just gonna rest up a bit and see what you guys are saying. Yeah, honestly, you guys can make up your own minds. If you think that my driving absolutely blows, I mean, I agree with you for the most part, but definitely try this car out for yourself and experience what I've just experienced here. It's definitely, it's a novel experience to have. You should definitely do it. So I've tried the Formula Classics once or twice. It's not really a massive point of interest of mine, so I've not spent a lot of time on it, but it depends what you consider as classic, because I spent a lot of time in the Formula V12 in the early days, and I think the Gen 1 or was it Gen 2, the V10 as well. They're my favorite eras of Formula 1, so they're the ones that I spent the most time with in AMS. It was very fun. So I hope I got the stream lag corrected. I don't know if you guys have seen any dropouts. I didn't see any get actually mentioned. So I think running OBS in administrator mode made all the difference this time around. So little tips and tricks that you pick up along the way. Hey Jay, how you doing? Carl, you're an absolute legend, man. Thank you so much for the $5. You're the best. It made suffering through the cup car completely worth it. So first sim is a hard one. If you really want a wide smorgasbord of options and a close to good enough handling model to have fun with, a lot of people would recommend Assetto Corsa. If you get the Ultimate Edition, I don't know if the sales are still on, but you can get it for next to nothing. All of the content, you got so many mods that you can get for it, so many great aftermarket tracks. You can make it look amazing with custom shaders and Sol. While it's not my personal favorite sim, it's hard to make a case against it as far as the value proposition goes. It's probably the best value proposition sim currently out there. See you, Jensen. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Brad. I'm glad to hear it. I need to find a way to default into opening it with admin mode. I think it's safe to say that for the next couple of streams, I'm going to focus more on my passion area, so it'll be more ACC and more R Factor. Look forward to that. It's going to be good. Yeah, John, look, I don't want to heap on the negativity. I mean, lots of sim racers have already done that with AMS2, talking about how it doesn't compare to the original. And while I'm not one of those guys, I don't have, a strong connection to the original. It's very clear that this title currently has a ways to go. I'm not saying it'll never get there, but in its present state, it's not going to be your all-encompassing, ready-to-go sim. Thanks, Jozo. Good to see you here. So, what's the next one up on the itinerary? I mean, we haven't driven the Mercedes. We've done the McLaren. It seems like they've made that a little bit more difficult to drive. The Cup car, in the grand scheme of things, is probably a little bit easier. Welcome, Luke. Hey, Chaz, how's it going? You guys enjoying the reprieve from the whole election thing? Actually, let's not start the politics talk in here, but can someone tell me, is it over yet? Can we move on, or? Yeah, I think I more or less agree with you, John. It depends. The value proposition is different for everybody. I think AMS2 is very cheap with the sales going on right now, and probably with Black Friday coming up. So everyone's got to decide for themselves, because what you're buying into right now with AMS is its potential, not what it is right now as a game. It's very much going to be one of those in development type things like ACC was, and I sincerely hope I see its, blossom into something a little bit greater. Hey, Ram. Still counting, there you go. Means we need more distractions. Let's find some content to drive through here. All right, how do you go wrong with the curb muncher? Probably tons of things, Dazza. There's a lot of those obscure Brazilian stock cars and stuff that they have in this, but I find that a lot of those tin tops are probably even less dialed in than these cars are, so I don't think that's going to be a particularly good time. Let's try the Camaro. Let's see if we can eat some curbs. Why not? Why not a GT4 race at historic Adelaide? Yeah, something that you would never have seen, and it's one of the great things about sim racing. You can just mash things together that you never would have seen in real life. Oh no, he's racing the AI again. Alright, been a while since I've done this track, but it was probably my favorite in AMS2. It was so good. I'll take the curb muncher. There's far worse nicknames one can have. It's not like we need virginity protection while driving GT4s. I don't think anyone's going to come be a groupie for us, but here we go. Some gloves all the same. So Luke, the main racing sims I tend to drive are ACC and R-Factor 2. To me, they feel the best currently, especially if you're into GT cars. There's a lot of people here who also like iRacing, a lot of people who like the original Assetto Corsa, all kinds. Welcome, Frederick. Yeah, the loss of the Adelaide 500, I can't believe it. Man, people, we ruin everything, don't we? Like, we move within the vicinity. Admittedly, this is just a city, but so frequently people move within the vicinity of a racetrack or a live venue and then get it shut down because of noise complaints. It's like, surely you realize the event was there before you lived there. This is the whole point. So Chazza, I'm going to answer your AI question by just showing you the AI. This is going to... Pray for me, guys. I can't remember how many laps I set up, but we'll just go with 9. Yeah, RIP Sean Connery. I think I'm due a rewatch of the old Bond flicks. What a guy. Pretty much the physical definition of an alpha male. Okay, cool. It's great to be handed control midway through a corner. Oh my god. Cool. So, mostly I've driven F1 cars through here. The brake markers and such are a little bit different in the GT4s. Alright. Alright. Focus. It's, oh man. It's still got that kind of snappy, oversteery behavior going on. Especially with bumps. It seems like these tracks that are very bumpy kind of bring out that handling element in it. It's definitely a drift game, Luke. I don't know if it's meant to be, but it is. Oh my god! Instant replay, so on, please. That's got to turn into a GIF for the channel. Oh man, that was some good value right there. Let's try it 150 maybe? No? Alright, even further back? Cool. AMS is the weirdness simulator. Dear God. Just... No, so it's actually pronounced GIF. I don't like it. I prefer saying GIF, but it's actually GIF. Oh man. It's quite the interactive experience, let's call it. I didn't realize GT4 cars drifted quite this much. You know, I would prefer to pronounce it GIF. That's how I've been traditionally doing it since I was a kid, but I got corrected at one point and here I am in the GIF club. Alright, well before 150. Let's see how we go. Oh my god. The brakes are... So I think the brake pressure in this title defaults to 90%. And you probably need to increase it a little bit for it to be drivable. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to restart the session. Go back to the pits. Yep, brake pressure 90%. Yeah, the barrel roll. I haven't seen that move before. It was very impressive. So it's hard to tell with the AI. In between me not knowing the lines here in a GT4 and the brake markers, I can't really keep up. But I think their difficulty is all over the place. On some classes of car, they're far easier to drive against. On other classes of car, they're far more difficult. On tracks like this where it's super bumpy, they seem to kind of maintain better levels of grip than you can. And it's a bit eclectic. The content is all over the place. There's this lack of consistency to it all, so you can't just set the AI to 100 and know what baseline level of difficulty you're going to experience. You have to just kind of tweak it per content, per track. All right. Bouncy Castle engage. Let's do it. It is lovely, Adelaide. I can't believe I missed a whole era of F1 cars driving through the city of Adelaide. I far prefer it to Melbourne, if I have to say, even though we stole the GP from you guys. Can't say I've ever had a precedent for driving GT4s in historic Adelaide before, so it's quite an interesting experience. Very snappy kind of oversteer behavior. Kind of reminds me of the Caterhams back in the early days. I find it funny that I went into this in the curb munching car and it's like the one track where you can't munch curbs because they're so high. Nice leisurely paced GT4 cars. Alright, cool, so that's third. Oh my god! That is peak AMS right there. Slightly Mad Studios, eat your heart out. Alright, just before 150. Oh man, so the brake pressure change made all the difference. Come back. It's so crazy. As you guys were saying, the base setups for these cars require so much work, so just jumping into it like this is quite the oh my god, it's a complete mess. Me in this game, my lack of driving ability, the floppy wheels. Oh man. I think that's probably enough of that, to be honest. I'm trying to find that golden combo. I'm trying to find that thing that kind of just makes sense without going back to the open wheelers, you know? I used to have a great setup for the Sigma. I remember we were doing some great laps around Kailami with it, but I think it's been broken since all the physics updates, so I can't really pull that back out again. Might go back to Old Faithful. Gonna drop the AI skill back because I'm clearly not having the time of my life. Yeah, I've tried all the GT3 cars. Yeah, ACC had a really rough start, to be honest. But it got to a point it was so complete and so good that it's now the go-to GT simulator. It's quite impressive what they did. You know, I sincerely hope so. I sincerely hope so. I mean, it's got a long way to go. There's a lot of things to iron out, and I look forward for it to get to that spot where, you know, with ACC and R Factor, I can generally adjust from one sim to the other very quickly within a couple of minutes, whereas with AMS2, it's almost like relearning how to speak your dominant language again. All right. Let's see how this goes. Love being handed control of the car just as the turn's beginning. Alright, here we go. Old Faithful, the one that got us all into AMS2. That's right, this one actually needs the throttle blip, doesn't it? Sweet. Let's do that. Just one gear in this. This is one of the most forgiving cars in the game, so if you own AMS and you've struggled like I have tonight, this is usually the one to fall back on. As you can see, it's like these crazy prototypes and open wheelers that Reezer always seems to do best. You can really rotate this thing with the throttle. Don't crash. No crash. I least I'll get to find out whether they've improved the flat spot modeling in this. Yeah, the dive bomb. The mighty diving. Such a mad dive that World War II bombers would be jealous. You can call me the Stucker. Welcome back, Jensen. How's it going? One gear down? One gear? Two, probably. Oh my god. It's a great thing about feeling out a track and car combo for the first time with a full field of AI. Man, that guy just obliterated something. No bollard will survive. So I've got to say, even so, the prototypes are still a lot more fun than the tin tops. They've got a lot of work left to do, basically. I'll take that. The high downforce cars, especially ones with slightly lower power like this, a lot more chillaxed. Hey Edo, how's it going? So 2 gears down. That's the one. No, it's Donington at Titan Sermon. This is a great thing about jumping around between different car classes and tracks. You always end up being incompetent at everything. I've got to say, this car probably feels better than ever though. It feels way more connected than it used to back in the day. It feels really snappy, force feedback is super grainy and communicative. I like it a lot. This probably highlights the peak of AMS. This, the Sigma P1, so I'd definitely say that, yeah, this car's pretty solid. A lot more dialed in than the GT3s are. Kind of wish I started on this. Still trying to feel out those brake markers. So traditionally this car's usually needed a click of less rear wing, and I think that's still the case. I'm just losing a bit of turn in. Oh dear. No, 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 no. So, at least it didn't do a barrel roll, right? That was a legitimate spin. One of the things about this car though is that it makes you very lazy. It's very easy going. You can kind of accelerate all the way through the corner. It's not usually the way that things work. So it's always very kind to highly mediocre drivers like yours truly. Got to make sure that you blip the throttle on the way down. This car doesn't do auto blip. You can really rotate it on throttle mid-corner. You know, the rubber banding isn't great, but we're making do. Trying to focus on the positives of the game at the moment, even though sometimes it gets kind of difficult to do. This is definitely the best experience I've had so far tonight, though. There's enough bitter people out there screaming about elections. I don't want this channel to be one of them. So we're just taking it easy. Force feedback on this car feels really good. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it needs another year to bake. If only another year. Yeah, I'm trying to get the braking points and stuff down. I don't normally do this track in car combination, but it's coming to me a lot. Really? Track limits? Alright, cool. I'll take it. Be less aggressive, Vermin. Says the guy diving on the inside at the hairpin. Okay. So the AI are definitely very susceptible to dive bombs on this track. Whoop, didn't see him there. Come on, bro, you got the inside? I'm giving it to you? No? Cool. Back on our merry way we go. Alright, after crashing, we've made up about 6 places. Not too bad. The understeer on braking effect isn't quite as bad in this car. I think probably lowering the rear wing by 1 point will help us out. I think maybe you can do 1 gear down, maybe 2 gears. So trying to get the gearing right here. 4th for this feels about right. Alright. Not too much cut. Should probably do that in 4th next time. Right, overshot slightly. I definitely wouldn't say the AI is friendly in this game. It depends entirely on the track and the class and the settings. So the last couple of times I raced them here, they weren't friendly at all. But in the prototypes, it's definitely a lot easier than it was in some of the other vehicles. But we actually finished the race, guys. Wow. Hey, we got the Nemesis here, one of the aliens. Here to critique and judge. Hope you're doing good, man. Yeah, look, man, the more people there are racing sims, the happier we all are. The more money flows through the industry, the better the development, the more realistic the sims, so fingers crossed. I'm not trying to put people off playing AMS2, but I think it's fair to say that it's not strictly a complete game at this point in time. Yeah, Dazzer, I agree with you, man. So obviously this car is one of the easiest to drive in the entire game, but the way that it's balanced, the stock setup is so much better than the GT3s. The GT3s, I was fighting the car first and foremost, and then the track, and then the rest of the field. So it was unbelievably challenging. I definitely recommend you guys try it for yourselves. It's quite an experience. Whew. Kind of appreciating the break, to be honest. Where to go? Where to go from here? I absolutely suck at open wheelers, so I'm half tempted to try. don't we try the classic combo that Mr. Mike got me into from Sim Racing 604 with his original lap challenge. So it'd be this car, the Rocco at Alton Park, one of the most fun experiences in this game. Do we dare? Do we dare sneak the opponent's skill level up slightly? Don't think it's the best idea I've had in my life, but... Mate, it already feels like they have 100 aggression. Cool, so mental note to self. Next time you make a video title saying, let's have fun with AMS2, stick to the prototypes and the open wheelers. You'll get less frustrated. Maybe I should do what Jimmy's doing, just kind of stream some chill Gran Turismo. Get the controller out. So Kurt, I think I figured it out. I don't think we've had a drop since I've re-entered OBS tonight. Do let me know if something happens on your end. But I think it's been a fairly solid stream so far. Right, back to the connected car. Just so you guys know, word to the wise, the game doesn't estimate laps on a fuel tank accurately. So always give it about 3 or 4 extra laps just to make sure you can actually finish the race. Made that mistake a few times. You know, it's a bit patchy, Ryan. You know, there's some content in this game that's super fun, super dynamic, but there's a lot of content that's not quite dialed in yet. And I think the GT3s and GT4s lie in there somewhere, so... Thanks, Daryl, man. Glad you're enjoying it. Thank you for joining us. Well, I mean, technically this isn't my job. This is kind of a hobby more than anything, so I certainly wouldn't call it a job. Speaking of jobs, I think my business partners are probably quite angry at me for spending my spare time playing games, but that's all right. We get our pleasures where we can find them, so let's try it out. The Rocco. I said... No? Alright, the Rocco at Alton Park International. Let's do it. Very early in the morning too. Alright. That AI though. Doesn't believe in leaving room on the track. I think it was... No, one more gear down. Cool, it's 4th. Outlap is always the most interesting. You're trying to feel out where the gearing is, where the brake markers are again. I think this was flat. No, oh my god. That was flat last time we did it as part of the comp. That's completely changed. Let's pretend that didn't happen, and we'll start again, and I'll pretend that I knew that that's not flat anymore. So cool, physics update, there you go. It did feel very unrealistic taking that flat, but it felt very fun at the time, so... Alright, lift and turn in. Now I know. Did a lot of races here with my friends just for fun. Super awesome. Yeah, car understeers way more now. I think the default setup needs a bit of an adjustment. I do keep talking about lowering that rear wing, but I never actually do it. Bit of rubber banding from the AI there. Oh man. All kinds of craziness going on. Oh no, 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 no. No. Somehow that didn't do terminal damage to my car. So let's just pretend that didn't happen, even though my steering is slightly off center now. Alright, back to it. Had a really great rotation through there with this vehicle. Force feedback feels really good in the Rocco. One of the cool things about this car, it doesn't have ABS, so it really lets you feel out how the brake is adjusted in any given version of the game. So I'm having a lot more fun with this than I was with the GT cars, so we're back to where we started with AMS, I think. Oh, just turn, my man. I've lost a bit of grip on the front axle for some reason. I'm guessing that completely smashing into the back of that guy had something to do with it. Car's definitely a little bit more wobbly since I destroyed its rear wing. Its front wing rather. Let's do it. Slipstream. So AI has held up surprisingly well so far. Other than some strange erratic braking here and there, it's actually about as good as it gets. Oh, come on, man. Obviously a little bit of weird rubber banding going on. And careless driving on my part. Exactly as ours. Those vicious, cautionary drivers. Don't have time for that. This car definitely suffers from that same limit behavior that plagues the tin tops, but it's somehow more manageable in a way. Oh man, it's definitely not flat out anymore. They've definitely nerfed this thing around here a little bit. But I think that makes it better. It's not to its detriment. Part of me feels like we're going to end up at the natural endpoint of Formula V12 at Adelaide Historic. It's the true way of experiencing that track. Oh, it's like playing a whole different game. I'm so much more at ease compared to driving the Cup car. They're very, very aggressive when it comes to defending there. They really don't like to leave a lot of space on the track. Which is fine, I guess. Come on, guy. Let's do this. Should I make the move? Oh, man. What a jink. Having to pull out some aggression of my own here. And I'm being rewarded with some sick flat spots. Oh man, the lockups. That was a true F1 move. I completely botched it. One of the great things about trying it out in cars like this is you can really feel where the limits of the braking are. Alright, halfway through the race. Having a lot more fun with this, I've got to say. It's funny that we're back here. This was like the first content I tried with AMS, and it's why I loved it so much, why I recommended it to everyone. I was hoping all the cars would be at this level, you know? Stick to the inside, Owen, come on. Just hoping that inevitable pit maneuver doesn't come from the AI. Sometimes you can botch the entry to get a stronger exit there. Though I often like to botch both. That's what gives me that signature flair and makes us the least knowledgeable sim racing channel. Alright, a lift. I think a lift will do. Trying to find the limits mid-race is quite something. Hey, how's it going? It's definitely very strong, the force feedback in this car. I'm kind of wishing I turned it down a little bit more. I'm having this situation where I'm afraid to stay on the same driving line as the guy in front of me because they tend to brake so hard. So inexplicably, I want to back into, or drive into the back of any more people rather. Glad to hear it, Ignites. We did a bit of work making sure that the stream would stay consistent this time. So fingers crossed it stays that way. That corner is definitely a lot more difficult in this than it used to be. Some of that interesting snap oversteer that we know from early days AMS. It's a tricky one because the AI seem to overslow for corners, but then they always get you on the corner exit. It creates a very interesting dynamic to race with. You're very correct, yeah, the rear end does kick out a lot in AMS too. So in a car like this, it's okay because you can correct for it relatively easily, same with the Caterhams, but in the GTs, oh man, different story. Man, anybody that I help get into R Factor 2 is just, like I said last time, I consider it a feather in the cosmic cap. Maybe it'll give me enough karma points to not reincarnate as a cockroach next time. So, you guys enjoy. R-Factor 2, ACC, two of the best sims currently out there. I feel privileged to be alive at a point where we have sims on the consumer market that are that complete. Sure, they both have a ways to go, but I mean, the fact that you can still use them for driving practice, legitimate driving practice, is so good. Yeah, I sincerely hope that reads are aware of the bouncing bugs, because it's so ever present in their physics engine, and it hasn't really been addressed yet. And it really needs to be. Because the reboundy character has been a critique that some sim tubers have had for a very long time now. Lucky last. I've actually put in enough fuel for once, so let's consider that a win. Oh, can it be done? Oh my god. AI. I think you definitely gain some time if you drop the rear wing back a bit on this. Maybe adjusted the suspension or the dampers ever so slightly. Feels like the car's bouncing a bit too much, probably needs to be softened. So we're almost having a legitimate race here, right? Crazy. Oh, I was so used to stopping and restarting. It's almost disappointing. It's going too well. Welcome, Joey. Not too bad. From 16th to 6th. I'll take it. Woo! So that's the Rocco 001 in AMS2. Still probably the most fun car in the game overall. Just that perfect balance of performance for sheer joy. Welcome, Joe. So the rig is pretty good, man. I would wait for an opportunity to get it probably when it's not full price. I don't necessarily think it's worth the full, whatever it is, 1,000 odd AUD, because you can get aluminium profile rigs that are more sturdy for the same amounts. But if you can get it for a bargain, or I don't know, if you find it during a sale or something to that effect, it's definitely a nice rig. It's definitely, I wouldn't call it top tier. There's a bit of flex in various aspects of it, but they're very nice guys to deal with. They have great customer support. They've been very kind to me, and I don't feel like it's holding me back. I think my own lack of skill is holding me back more than anything. Welcome, Joey. So my force feedback strength is probably not something you should go off. I think I may have a slightly dud model that's got the wrong strength multiplier or something. Everybody that gives me any settings, whenever I key them in, it feels like it's going to tear my arms off, so I have to basically halve it. So I run very low force feedback. I run the high torque key, and the force feedback is close to about 20 or 22 in R factor, with the car multiplier down at like 0.6 and stuff like that. So definitely something a little bit sus with the base that I'm sorting out with the Fanatec guys right now. No, it's my pleasure, Tony. It's a good unit, don't get me wrong. It's just, yeah, look for an occasion where you don't have to pay full price. Maybe consider looking at the links down below. I do have affiliate links for everything that I use. You know, make the call for yourself. Yeah, see, so the settings are completely off on this base. Your settings are closer to what I get told by the people. Generally, then the multiplier is not at 1. So most cars in R factor with the multiplier at 1 have way too much clipping inbuilt. So you want to pull it back in to actually get some headroom back out of the force feedback signal. Depends what Fanatec wheel you mean, Greg. So, I mean, just about any Fanatec wheel is going to be better than a G29, but it depends what you're talking about specifically. Welcome back, TM Gaming. I'm enjoying the nice little reprieve here, I've got to say. I might do one more race before I call it a night and start to wind down a little bit. Guessing that the polls are still going. They're still counting. A lot of people are going to wake up. They're going to have a new president. Interesting times. Or maybe they won't have a new president. I don't know. So the DD1 with the F2 wheel, I mean, you can't compare it to a G29. It's a whole new experience. It's completely transformative. So this is just shy of it feeling like the real thing. Something like a Simicube would feel probably indistinguishable from real driving with a good force feedback engine. The DD1 is just one small step below that. And the G29 is like down there, you know, so it's a vast gulf. You can't even compare the DD1 with the V2 rim to the G29. You're going to have an absolute blast. Yeah, I don't want to tell you about the future, man. It's a bad dystopia. I'm in Australia. It already kind of looks like Mad Max, or actually you guys call it Road Warrior. Though not Fury Road, more like the old ones from the 70s. I think we all pretend that Thunderdome didn't exist, right? That's awesome, Will. I guess just good timing on both of our parts. I'm jealous about your screen being in front of the base, by the way. Mine is way back down. I have to squint to see the apexes. So I'm definitely going to have to do something about that come the weekend to make things more sustainable. So Fanatec almost always do a Black Friday sale, but it doesn't always apply to the things that you may want. I've yet to see one apply to the Podium series, or at least the DD series. So that's something that I waited for. Unfortunately, it didn't eventuate, so I just paid full price for everything, and that's what I'm using right now. But you may get lucky. They may do a little pack. They usually do the pack with the CSL Elite. They'll usually do like a console pack or a PlayStation pack, something like that. I mean, I might consider VR just for fun, but you know, it's not something I'm all into. I'm definitely not one of those no VR, no buy kind of guys. I did recently upgrade to Windows 10 so I can actually run VR now, but you know, it's not a necessity, and it's certainly going to be difficult to stream and do videos with VR, so. So what we're playing right now is the normal version of AMS2. I'm not part of the beta program. And yes, the CSL Elite, from what I gather, is very, very good. I think a lot of people consider it to be like the second best belt-driven wheel on the market, shy of the CSW. So. Yeah, Ahmed, so we covered some of that in the races just before. I'm actually enjoying the break because I can actually just talk to you guys about it a little bit rather than just complaining. But AMS2 is in a very interesting spot. I think there's a lot of inherent potential in the Madness engine to potentially be a good sim that was never quite realized by Slightly Mad Studios, and Reza are desperately scrambling to actually realize it now. But they're caught in this place where you've got prototypes like the Rocco, and you've got the open wheelers like the F1 cars, which feel good. I mean, they feel serviceable. You get some great races out of them. It's nice and dynamic. You can feel the tire flex and some pretty grainy force feedback. But it's not necessarily the most realistic feeling experience, and it's not the most dialed in experience. And you can feel that the moment you jump to the GT4s and the GT3s. And if you saw me struggling with those earlier, I think you'd understand. I was struggling to just complete a lap, much less race a field with it. So I think it's still definitely got a ways to go before it's knocking at the door of ACC and R-Factor 2. Probably even AC. At the moment, I would say if you're looking for bang for buck, Assetto Corsa, the original, is probably still the way to go, because it locks in the basics so well, and with the aftermarket patches and mods that people have released, it's quite a formidable game. It's actually some of my friends' favorite sim. Greetings, Norman. That's my pleasure. Alright, I'm going to have to work out what to do for our very last race here. Let's see, something that's nice and comfortable without being too crazy. I do love the slitted tire era, late 90s. I think early 2000s as well. It's so tempting. What's with the depth of field effect though? It's not quite rendering right, is it? What would a game of AMS2 be without Interlagos with open wheelers? I mean, really. I might let myself get in a few practice laps beforehand though, because I don't think I'm going to do too well. Just going to lower this because I suck. Have a nice, perfect day for once. Thanks, Onasara. So the RSS cars, yeah, I would love to. It's just something I'm not really delved into yet myself, so I wouldn't really have anything to say because I haven't, driven them. But I know they're very well reviewed, they're very well beloved. Hey, we got Rubens Barrichello on pole. What a guy. Wonder where they got the rights for that name. Morning, Lewis. How you doing? Good to see you again. Ultima GTR KL Army Classic. Oh, man. You are a masochistic person, aren't you? It's a great way to see me spin out even worse than the first couple of streams. I did mess up with the rolling start, my bad. Project Cars 3, what's to say? They had their business model down, whereas most developers will release a sim and then support it like AMS like AMS is being supported. You get it in a particular state, then they add content and the game improves and it turns into something like ACC, completely transformative. Project Cars is the inverse. They kind of just dump out the bare minimum they can get out. They take everyone's money, and while everyone's like still going, wait, what just happened? They're like, oh, here's the DLC, here's what you paid for, blah, and they're on to the next product cycle. So it's good from a business point of view. I can see who's calling the shots in that company. They're very bottom line oriented, which is why it makes sense that they got published by Codemasters. They're like a match made in heaven. But I think if you're an actual sim racer and you care about the craft and you care about a developer caring about you as a user, probably barking up the wrong tree with that title. Hey Malcolm, thanks for joining us and thank you for the kind words. You can just hear those cars just blasting around in the distance. All right. My practice session's elapsing. I've got to at least get a few laps in, remind myself of how Interlagos is driven. This is going to be a disaster, guys. I haven't done open wheelers in ages. Though, actually, no, I lie. I did the MP4/13, Mika Hakkinen's car in R-Factor 2 on their version of Monaco. Unbelievable. Probably the best open wheeler experience I've ever had in sim racing. I actually wanted to do a video around it, which I might still do next week, assuming I get my life back after the practice sessions for the N24 end. So the new force feedback, it depends a lot from car to car, it varies. I've got to say the GT3s feel a little strange to me, but they're kind of not dialed in as a whole. The Rocco felt absolutely amazing though. I think that was the best force feedback I've felt on it yet, so hit and miss. Yeah, I feel like there are two tiers in companies like Codemasters and Slightly Mad. I feel like there's the guys at the bottom doing the design and the programming work who are super passionate about what they do, which is where you get things like that amazing Dirt Rally sound engine. You get awesome aspects of the Madness engine, like you can pick up dirt and throw it onto the track. Like there's marble build up, all kinds of crazy things. Welcome, Otto. And you know, it isn't money people that come up with things like that. They don't care about endurance racing day-night cycles, like having a rubbered in line that becomes wet when it gets rainy and shiny and all that sort of stuff. They just care about selling as many copies as possible. So you can tell that at some point down the line, somebody really cared about the Madness engine, but it just kind of got hijacked by the suits who were like, hey, if we just release everything as a half-baked mobile game, it's going to be amazing. Thanks, Nix. And welcome, Kevin. All right, I'm going to try and get a practice session in while I still can. I sincerely hope the rest... It still does that low-speed bouncing effect. You guys see that? And it looks like the other cars are going to be practicing with me out here, so that's going to be interesting. So I'm far from an Oh, man. This thing handles so differently to the Rocco. The grip. The grip. Until you don't have it, and then there's no grip. No DRS? Nope. Too old for that, and we got cold tires, so take it nice and easy. See, this is where it lives. This is where AMS2 feels its best. In an open wheeler with cold tires. Is it first gear here? Probably in this car. Still flat, yep. Oh, unbelievable, jumping to this level of downforce. Maybe second here, cool. Alright, tires are almost warm after a minute. Gotta love Formula Ones. Gotta love that engine sound too, it's so good. First. Trying to work out the gearing for the center S. I wonder if the car can still bottom out on that curb. It's one of the most surreal things about driving this for the first time. Alright, brake later. Be braver in general. Lock the brakes less. So I'm not getting much feedback to tell me when I'm at the limit of braking. What I'll probably do under those circumstances is go into the Fanalab software and tune it in to give me some kind of fake rumble vibration in the wheel grips when the wheels start to slip. We've really jumped through the classes tonight, haven't we? Started off in GT3s, then GT4. Some low-level prototypes and now an F1 car. It's quite an adjustment. Oh no, traffic. But this is where it's at, really. I mean, this is one of the strengths of AMS, the open wheelers. It's where it just feels its best. You can tell that Riese care about these quite a lot. It's their wheelhouse. But if I were to be honest, the open wheelers and R-Factor, when they're dialed in, feel absolutely amazing. So oh, come on, guy. It's that AI rubber bandit. Interesting. So the rubber banding on the AI is probably what gets me the most. They tend to overslow for corners and then kill you on the straights. So it tends to be a very weird racing experience, you know? Not adhering to any lines. Don't need to worry about that stuff. No? Really? Okay. So in R-Factor 2, I think it's hard to go past the MP413 if you really want to have some insane fun, because it has the slitted tires, you don't quite have the grip that you need, and it's in that in-between point where the F1 cars still try to murder the driver. It's so much fun, especially if you drive it on Circuit du Jour. What else? Imola is really good from the Riese pack. PC Go. Tell me more about it, man. I want to hear it. Yeah, Nix, I don't blame you. I mean, AMS still has a long way to go. If you don't like open wheelers and weird prototypes, it's probably not the one for you. Greg, I think I managed to sort out the issues I was having. It's hard to say for sure. It's probably more up to you guys to tell me more than anything, but I think the stream's going off relatively without a hitch so far. Other than this insect that's going absolutely manic in front of my face. It's just going ballistic. I wonder if my camera is high def enough for you guys to see that. Oh god. Slippery curb effect. Really rattling my GT track around, so I give it that. Force feedback's definitely got some jolts going on. Alright, practice session over. This is going to be an absolute disaster race. Glad you guys are here. I don't know about that, Bob. It's I feel like a fish out of water right now, but you know, a couple of you guys are hanging around. I'm really glad I actually don't have a viewer counter this time around, so I can't see how many people I'm disappointing at the same time. I'm guessing that the election has probably stolen a few. I'm guessing the polls are getting close to ending, and a lot of people are probably thinking that's slightly more consequential to their lives than an AMS2 stream. That's awesome. You guys are the best. I look forward to doing some actual more consequential events, maybe getting more people on board. That's going to be so good. And maybe some more chill stuff. I'm so jealous of Jimmy that he's been streaming all of this old Gran Turismo content. I've wanted to do that for months, but I never had much success doing it. It's so relaxed, so chilled out, and so nostalgic as well. Just that whole experience of trying to get gold in all the licenses. Though I'd probably need anger management classes before we did that. You're too kind, Dav. Racing with subs will be really fun. See, that's something we could really easily do in AMS, because I could just set up a private lobby and everyone can join. There's no faffing about with dedicated servers and stuff. So maybe that's one area where AMS2 can really come in handy for us, you know, in spite of all my complaining about it. That's cool to know, Lewis. Have you ever tried Kartcraft? They recently updated that to support triples, I believe. Looks amazing too. It's a little sim-cadey, but then again, so's AMS. Don't shoot the messenger. Alright, I gotta bite the bullet here. Bite the bullet, do the open wheeler race. Okay, alright. Next time, I think I'm going to have a more cohesive stream where I have to just drive the one car around the one track again. Don't want to overload myself. Yeah, setting up a lobby in R-Factor is... I mean, I'm so glad I've joined a team that handle all that for me now, because there's no chance I would have the time or the patience for it. As much as I love that sim, it almost punishes you for enjoying it. Alright, let's do this. Okay, just nice and easy, Omen. Nice. This is going to be the worst of all the AI characteristics, and it's going to be the worst of my driving characteristics all combining into the one mess. So, and a completely incorrect start. So let's just pretend this is some hybridization between GT cars and F1. Rolling start. Woo! The natural evolution of banning grid girls. Dear God, seriously? It didn't take long, Omen. Already got my wheel caught in the other car. Alright, nice and easy. Just focus. Focus. Nice and focused. God, I love these lighting effects in AMS2. I just always really enjoy the smoothness and the look of this engine. I sincerely hope it's looking as good for you guys in the stream as it is for me playing through it. Oh my God, I was going to say so easy to spin there. I didn't think I could... Oh my God. Let's pretend that didn't happen. I didn't think you could actually spin there in second, but shows how much I know about these cars. All right, that didn't happen. This is our rolling start, the real rolling start. Let's do it. I'm not going to look at the chat. You guys didn't see that. No one's commenting on that. Don't worry about it. Never happened. Admittedly, that's less lies than you're going to get on the presidential broadcasts. Alright. My first lap. I never made a mistake. There is something very enjoyable about the open wheelers in AMS too. The curbs feel a lot more aggressive through the force feedback now. So it feels a lot more slippery and it kind of bounces the wheel around a lot more. Don't spin, don't spin, don't spin. Cool. Oh my god, it's just drifting constantly. I don't know why it's so much more keen on drifting than it was before. Maybe I'm getting some kind of weird aero wash from the guys in front, I don't know. That was a pro move, guys, textbook. So the AI burying its nose in my rear wheel. Take notes, guys, that's how it's done. Verstappen, if you're watching this, mate. Force feedback on the open wheelers and the prototypes as a whole is definitely better. I'm just getting more detail, more usable forces, less trash. In the GT cars definitely needs work, but the GT cars as a whole definitely need work, so you know. There's no chance I can, oh my god, chance looking down at the chat window during this, so I'll be with you guys shortly. Shortly after I ruin this race. One of the funny things for me was one of the last videos I did in Project Cars 3, I raced into Lagos in open wheelers and then I jumped to AMS, and it was unbelievable how much further Reza took the simulation. The scariest thing in these is preempting when they're going to slip. Believe it or not, it's actually way harder in R-Factor, so if you want to actually practice for AMS open wheelers, drive them in R-Factor, they're actually less forgiving. High-speed drift, let's do it. God, I wish you guys could feel that high downforce force feedback effect. The way they got the damping at high speed in these feels so good. And if you've been around since the start of the stream, let me apologize for all the negativity in the GT cars. I was really just... things were pretty rough. It was a rough stream to start with, but things got better. Oh man, so I guess my cam is out of batteries, guys. So you found one of the drawbacks that I'm running into, which is that my DSLR runs out of juice in about 3 hours of streaming. I haven't been able to get a dummy battery for it for the race, so I'm probably gonna have to pull out the crappy Logitech for the actual stream later on. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna need to recharge it. At least I have a really accurate counter of how long the DSLR lasted on a single charge, right? The entire stream. Not that I know how long I've been streaming for. I kind of lose track of time. No, no webcam needs to be added to the shopping list. I already own one. It's just I wanted to use the DSLR to get better picture quality. But the problem with the DSLRs are that they just chew through the juice really quickly. Welcome, Edwin. But it's nice to know, it's nice to feel these things out and see how long my camera will actually last when it comes to the real thing. Probably won't be able to risk it for the 24-hour stream, it's too much faffing about. But maybe for these shorter streams. Last 2 laps, guys. Thank you for joining me on the stream. You guys are the best. This is another debug run, basically, trying to see whether we can get a good quality stream over hours and hours and hours. That was a nice lock there. Oh, textbook. Don't think I can feel the flat spots. Oh, actually I can. Good for you, Reza. So that's one thing I can say about the new force feedback engine. You can actually tell when you flat spotted a tire. I'm not sure if you can actually see it or not though. Lagos, man, such a great track. It's one that I overlook way too often. It's like a miniature Brazilian Spa. And lucky last lap. Oh man, coming in way too aggressively there. Trying to do it to gain time, but I end up just losing time. Oh man, the curbs are definitely more brutal now. Just kind of pull you around. And again, thank you guys for joining me, and thanks for putting up with that little black box in the corner of your screen now that the DSLR's died. I'll try and get something with a little bit more longevity next time. Yeah, so unfortunately with the DSLR I have, it doesn't connect directly into the mains. I don't think there's actually a connector for it on the A7R3. So I need a dummy battery that goes into it, and then the dummy battery is being fed by an adapter which goes to the mains. So there's quite a few things I need to pick up, and unfortunately none of them I could actually get on time for the stream. So you guys may have to put up with a crappy Logitech webcam on the next stream. Anyway, once again, thank you guys so much. I'm going to head off and I think have a bit of a shower again. These are far more physical endeavors than I expected. So thank you guys again. I can't believe we've got so many people watching the stream. I'll hopefully see you guys on the weekend. I may do one more stream of a private practice with the Porsche 911 GT3R before we get into the race, the 24-hour one. And otherwise, I'll see you guys when the race begins. So thank you so much. Have a good night. And I hope we don't all wake up to a world on fire tomorrow. So fingers crossed.